Hey everyone, welcome back for another quick Ark survival guide, some pointers to give you. So, I just spawned in here on the island, the base map for the game, and I made a pickaxe, an axe, and some spears, and I used some admin commands to give myself a bunch of XP. I already leveled up to level 3 so I can make a couple things, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick leveling guide and show you how leveling up works. Everything's on base rates right now, so everything's on official base rates. And I wanted to show you what leveling up does to your stats and my recommendations for how to level up. So let's jump straight into it. The first thing, obviously off the bat, is health. So every level up gives you 10 more HP, right? So we go 130, 140, 150, and that is all that leveling up health does. It is obviously super useful to have extra health to survive things. I find health doesn't just help me survive dinos, like dino attacks, but it also helps me if I'm like drowning in water. I have more time to get to the surface because it's drains your health. I have more time if I'm dying from mega rabies. Just having a higher max health means you won't die to nearly as many things. It's obviously extremely straightforward. It just increases your survivability. With dinos, the thing with dino attacks is they do so much damage that sometimes an extra 50 health really doesn't make much of a difference. It really depends what you're fighting. But in the early game, it can be useful to have health. Also, for those wondering, I use an admin command to make dinos leave me alone. So, this little Dilo you see wandering in the background, he won't bother us. Alright, next thing, stamina. Super straightforward, just like health, right? Every time you level it up, you get 10 more. Right, so stamina is super straightforward. It allows us essentially to sprint longer. We can jumping takes stamina, sprinting takes stamina, attacking like meleeing takes stamina, all these different things. Even swimming in the water takes stamina, which I think is a little bit weird, but I guess it makes sense. But crouching, well, not moving, crouching, and laying down, going prone, all increase your stamina regen. So obviously standing still, you'll regen stamina faster. Crouching, you'll regen it even faster, and the fastest would be going prone. You get your stamina back extremely quickly. Stamina is one of those things that I will upgrade. Maybe in the beginning of the game, I'll upgrade it to like maybe 150, something like that. Just so that way, if I run into something like a raptor, or maybe for whatever reason I can't fight this Dilo over here, right? Dilos are pretty easy to take out, but let's say for whatever reason this Dilo is giving me a hard time, I have plenty of stamina to get away from him. Alright. Next stat, oxygen. So every time you level up oxygen, you go up by 20 instead of 10. And obviously, whenever you're in the water, oxygen will make it so you can breathe underwater longer. But what oxygen also does, which a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know this for the longest time, is oxygen increases your base swim speed. I find myself in a lot of situations where I don't have scuba gear, and I just like to go diving in to kill some fish, or maybe I need to feed an otter, or just there are a lot of situations in the game where I don't have my scuba gear on me, and I want to be in the water, so a lot of times later in the game, I will level up my oxygen to about 200. That way, I don't have to worry so much about diving into the water to like feed, like I said, feed an otter, or maybe kill a trilobite. I'm chasing it into the water. There's just a bunch of little things like that where if I have higher, if I have higher oxygen, I don't need to worry about dying. All right, the next two stats are food and water. Each one goes up by 10 as you level them up, and to be honest, I think these stats are next to useless. Right, it just increases your max water, your max food, so you don't have to eat or drink as frequently. But to be honest, as long as you're good at carrying around a water source with you, like a rough skin or a jar or a flask, I never really find myself running out of water because I always carry like a canteen around, or like in the beginning of the game, I'll make like 5 rough skins so that way I don't run out of water. And in the early game, you're spending a lot of time on the beach anyway, so water's generally not a problem. And there's never really water too far away. If you're caving, sometimes there's no water, but even in the snowy mountains, there's water. On the beaches, obviously, there's water. There's a lot of ponds and things you can find in like the jungles and forests. So water's never really a huge problem. Food, you can always, if you're like outside, you can always just harvest bushes for berries. It just, none of these things, food and water, I don't think you need to level up at all. It's never really a big issue. Alright, now we are on my favorite stat and also my least favorite stat, weight. It's my favorite and least favorite at the same time. So carry weight gives you plus 10 every time you level up. Essentially, it just lets you carry more stuff, right? And for me, I play with this boosted. So like I will play where every time you level it up, it gives you 25 instead of 10. And I will get my carry weight up to like 500, 600, 700 because I hate not being able to carry things in this game. It drives me crazy. The first thing I'll level up in a single player world is carry weight, because I want to be able to harvest all the bushes and trees and rocks and everything that I need to get started, and I don't want to have to worry about dropping stuff. So carry weight is my best friend, but it's also my least favorite because it's like a necessary evil. Like, I wish I didn't have to invest so many points into it, but I do. So yeah, carry weight. Alright, the next stat is melee damage, and it goes up by 5%, as you can see, every time you level it up. Melee damage, as far as I know, only affects your melee weapons, right? And that should make sense. So, if you're punching things with your fists, you're hitting stuff with your axe, or your pickaxe, or even if you have a spear. I'm unsure about throwing spears. You know what? We could probably test this. Let's test this live right now. Where's that Dilo at? Where is that Dilo? Okay, I have found a Parasaur. Let's test this. 59. Okay. Melee damage leveled up. 62. Okay, confirmed. Leveling melee damage does increase your spear throws as well. So, meleeing with your fists. Again, any tools, spears. Later in the game you can make a pike, different things like that. Melee damage will increase, but once you get into the mid to late game, you end up using bows, crossbows, shotguns, long neck rifle, and you know, you're just primarily using projectiles, and melee damage does not increase those damage numbers. I find melee damage to be pretty useless because it only helps you in the early game. So I mean, maybe you could level it up in the early game and then respec later, but I don't find it worth the trouble. Movement speed, you get 1.5% per level up, right? And movement speed is very self-explanatory. You just move faster. I think this is great in the early game, especially if you're trying to outrun things like raptors. Raptors give me a lot of grief in the early game, so I'll go up to like 127%, and I will just run and run and run. You can outrun raptors at 127%. And so if you have enough stamina, like 150 to 200, and you have enough movement speed, like 127, then you can outrun stuff. You can outrun Dilos, you can outrun raptors, you can chase down Parasaurs that are trying to run from you. So movement speed is great for PvE to be able to get out of sticky situations. It is also useful in PvP, right? Because when you're doing a 1v1, right? If you're raiding someone's base and then all of a sudden you get into a shotgun fight with them, if you can strafe around and sprint and jump and just zip around them, it's going to be way harder for them to hit you. Crafting skill. So crafting skill, it goes up by 10% as you level it up. All the ARC veterans know that you don't level crafting skill at all until you're ready to make a blueprint. So what crafting skill does is it makes your crafting speed faster. So you'll make anything that you make in your inventory, you'll make it faster the higher your crafting skill is. Which, I mean, it's a little bit useful, right? But it doesn't change the crafting speed on things that you make in like a smithy or a fabricator. So its usefulness is very limited. But crafting skill also increases your... So every time you make a blueprint, like let's say you get a blueprint for a pump action shotgun, every time you craft it with the blueprint, you will get bonus damage and durability on your weapon based off your crafting skill. And so a lot of veterans will not level crafting skill at all, and then when they're ready to make all their blueprints, their flak armor, their pump shotguns, long neck rifles, they will use a respec potion and they will level every single point into crafting skill. Then they'll make their stuff, get the bonuses, and then they'll respec again back to where they want their stats to be. So that's what I recommend crafting skill for. I don't recommend leveling it in any other circumstance. All right, the last stat we have is fortitude. So for every level up, you get 2 points, right? And what fortitude does is your character will get hot or cold based on the temperature. So if you hold on PC, if you hold down H, it'll tell you the temperature in the top left. It's 17 degrees Celsius here. And that temperature can change widely. You know, if you're up in the mountains in the tundra, it can be really cold. Obviously at volcanoes, it's really hot. And your character will lose HP over time if it's too hot or cold. And if it's too cold, your food will drain quicker. And if it's too hot, your water will drain quicker. So having fortitude will make it so you don't get hot or cold as easy. You have more, you're just more resistant to the weather, to the elements. And the other thing that fortitude does that I didn't know this for a long time is fortitude increases your resistance to diseases as well. So anyone who's played Ark a decent amount and has gone caving knows that their caves are full of onyx, and onyx are bats essentially. And bats, they have a good chance when they bite you, when they attack you, to infect you with mega rabies. And mega rabies is not a good time. It drains your health extremely quickly, and the only way to get out of it is to use a lesser antidote or to just spam med brews to heal yourself to counteract the mega rabies. And it has a timer of like 90 seconds, something like that. But I have died so many times to mega rabies. So every time an onyx bites you, right, it has a percentage chance to inflict you with mega rabies. And so what I found is that if you level up fortitude, it lowers the percentage chance that you will get it, that you will contract mega rabies. So essentially, once my fortitude's level up to like 20 or 40 or even 60, right, it means that I can get bit by onyx like maybe 20 times before I ever get mega rabies. It makes the percentage chance of getting diseases extremely low. Those are all the stats. If it was me starting out in the game, I would prioritize weight so I could carry stuff. And then I would prioritize stamina and movement speed. Because health will only allow you to survive maybe 1 or 2 more bites from something like a raptor. But if you have enough stamina and you have quick enough movement speed, you can just outright outrun like a pack of raptors. And so you don't have to worry about how much health you have, because you can get out of this situation completely if you have enough stamina and you're quick enough. So if it's me starting out in the game, I normally put a ton of points into weight so I can carry a bunch of stuff. And then I level up stamina a decent amount, maybe 150, 200. And I level up movement speed up to like around 124, 127, something like that. So that way I can outrun things. Those are my recommendations. Final spec recommendations. I would say once your max level of like 105, I would say your stamina should be around 150, 200. I would level up oxygen a little bit to like 200. That way you can do some river diving and stuff without scuba gear. I would not level up food and water at all. Just keep on base. Again, I keep my weight boosted, so it gives me 25 per level up instead of 10. So my final weight is somewhere between 5 and 700. Obviously, yours will be less if you're using base stats. I don't level melee damage at all. My movement speed, even when I'm max level, I keep my movement speed up. So if I'm caving, I can still get out of sticky situations. I don't level crafting skill at all. Fortitude, I'll keep it around like 20 to 40, somewhere in there. And then everything I have left over will just go into HP. I'll normally end up around somewhere between 300 and 400 HP. After putting the rest of the stats where I want them. Anyways, those are my recommendations on leveling. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next Ark guide. Alright, later.